Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's podcast, The Engineer Whisperer Transitions. And today, my guest is Chris. Chris, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, Andrea, thanks so much for having me today. Excited to be here.
Yes, I'm super excited about the topic that we're going to talk about. And as we start, give us a little intro about yourself.
Yeah, sure. So I work at an engineering firm. I've been there for about 10 years. I do a lot of things related to global strategy. So I've been all over the business in many different roles, both customer facing and more internal roles. But a lot of the work that I do is international in scope. I am a lawyer. So a lot of policy, contracts, things like that. So it's a lot of fun, and I've worked with many engineers over the years. So very happy to be here and hopefully add value to your podcast.
Well, I think so. I think so. That's why I wanted to invite you here, and we're gonna, talk about your transition and engineers. So let's jump right in. Um, as you're working with engineers, maybe let's start there. Of how do you transition your skills to successfully work with engineers?
Yeah. It's funny when I first got to my current employer. I'm always a very extroverted, sometimes the loudest person in the room. It's just who I am. And I learned very quickly that many of the engineers that I worked with were more soft spoken, a little more introverted, and that was probably the first skill that I had to learn was to, find sort of common ground and, really do a lot more listening. So I would say probably the biggest gift that the engineers I've worked with over the years have taught me is, listening and silence can be golden. To create a space where you can really let everyone bring their opinions and themselves to a discussion or a goal, or to a team. And you don't always have to be the loudest person in the room. So to all the engineers who I know, thank you so much for telling me to shut up nicely.
Well, it seems like it was more than that. It wasn't just, okay, we need you to change, Chris. It was more, you have this at the side too. Uh, Let us show you how you can leverage this side in this environment and
Mhm.
still be productive and efficient.
Absolutely. And something else that I appreciate about engineers in general is the focus on fact-based problem solving, right? So, as I'm sure you're familiar, a very common sort of engineering approach to problem solving is, isolating or identifying a problem, brainstorming ideas, all based on facts, and then trying to come up with solutions that can address the problem. And so I would make the case that that sort of um, way to think about challenges in general and how to design successful ways to move past whatever the challenge or barrier is something that I've taken with me, and I use it in all my my professional job, my personal life, all the projects that I work on now. So it's been a really great learning experience for me. So
Oh, I love that. Let's continue that thought. Give me an example of how you're using what you learned with engineers and from engineers outside of your work environment.
yeah, no, thank you. So about 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, my hobby outside of work, actually for the last 5 or 6 years, has been something that we call acro. Some people call it acro yoga, but at its core, it's recreational partner acrobatics. So, most of us aren't going to the circus anytime soon. We are um, teachers, firefighters, restaurant workers, office job people. I mean, we're everybody, and that's what makes it fun, right? Is that circus arts in general and partner acrobatics or acro is a really democratic sort of experience, right? Like everybody sort of shows up and gets to participate together to build something really special in that community. So bringing it back to engineering, I would say when you're doing certain tricks, it's kind of like engineering. I mean, you are defying physics, right? Like you're lifting, moving, and sometimes spinning somebody through the air, or you yourself have been, you're moving through the air. It could be two, three, four people at once. And so when you're thinking about how to move weight, how to balance weight, how to receive weight, how to make yourself weightless if you can,
Oh,
or
yeah.
at least concentrate your weight. Um, you have to identify the barriers to that experience, right? Just like engineering, and then figure out all the different ways that you can do it safely. Again, just like engineering, and then have a great outcome that you can repeat over and over and over again, which I think is a lot of where the excitement and the success is once you really start to understand those skills. So
So
yep.
wait, do you do that process while you're the figuring out process while you're holding someone, or do you do that before, or like I haven't
Yeah.
done acro yet,
Good
so
question.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's a great question, and the answer is both. So I would say, depending on the skill level, depending on the experience level, probably similar to engineers, right? If you've got engineers that have been doing a certain kind of area for a long time and they're very comfortable with the domain, they might have an experience level or tools in the toolbox that they can use to help them think about how they approach these problems. I would say it's pretty similar in acro. So, if you've got someone who's been doing it for a decade, for example, or they're a really highly experienced teacher, they might be able to diagnose or identify a problem pretty quick, right? If someone's standing on your shoulders and jumps into a handstand into my hands, depending on the way that the weight is going, we can make minor adjustments in hand grip. Sometimes it's the base. So in this case, as I'm talking about myself, I would be on the bottom and change the way that my feet are positioned on the ground to evenly distribute the weight. The flyer who's up top could also shift and make minor adjustments to where their limbs or their torso
Yeah.
is in space, right? And then that can help us really kind of, I would say, modify or fix any issues. But we always keep it safe, right? We've got spotters who are there to make sure that nobody falls. We've got sometimes people can be in a harness to keep them from falling. It really depends on the trick, but we really try
Mhm.
to keep it safe and troubleshoot to make sure that it's a great experience for everybody.
Well, I think that's also very relatable to engineers that they're keeping it safe. They are
Yeah.
taught to keep it safe. They're trained,
Yep.
educated, and so forth. So definitely, yes, safety is. But I love these parallels between engineers
Yeah.
and moving in the air and holding people and supporting people in I
Yeah.
mean, I just love it.
And if I could draw another parallel too, it's about teamwork and communication. I think
Yes.
something that we talk a lot about in the corporate world is, you're only as good as your team, right? I mean, no one can do it alone. We need good support. We need good leaders. We need, people with lots of different viewpoints to come and make a team really effective. Yeah, think outside of the box. Pretty similar in the circus world, right? Pretty similar in the recreational acro world, where you know you can get pretty creative. I mean, if you know what those ground rules are, and again, you're kind of putting safety first, you can come up with some really interesting ways to, someone can flip in the air. So I'll give you an example. There's a flow or a trick that I'm working on lately where I lay on my back and I have my hands and my feet straight up, almost like a table that's turned on its back.
Hmm.
And then somebody will lay across my hands and my feet. And then we together agree on the timing. Myself and my partner, we can time it to where I kick and push my feet as hard as I can at the same time. And that flyer can also assist. and flying through the air,
Mhm.
leaving my hands and feet, and then safely landing back again. And lots of different combinations, right? Twists, forward flips, and things like that. So um, I think when you have a good team and you're able to communicate what it is exactly that you want to accomplish, and you sort of let everyone bring their opinion, you can really uh, do some very interesting tricks or skills, I guess is a better way to call it, that interesting skills, which to me would seem true in teams regardless of what you're doing, whether it's engineering or finance or HR or anything like that.
Yes,
So
yes, yes. Well, this one is a hands-on teaming, clearly. Um,
yeah.
Chris, I'm so curious, like as you started doing acro, what was a mindset shift that you had to make? Maybe what was the most challenging mindset shift that you had to make in order to to learn and grow in that area?
Yeah, that's a great question, Andrea. I would say from the days of law school, you know, it's not failure. It's okay to fail as long as you learn something from it, but we try to be right the first time, right? We always try to get it right the first time. And I would say it's okay to bring that level of perfection to acro, but sometimes it can get in your way. Um, I would say acro, unlike my day job, where I would say failure is not an option, in what I do for my day job. Um,
Yeah,
and
let's
that's
keep it
okay.
that. Yeah, let's
Yeah, and that's
okay.
good. I mean, that's great. I'm happy about that. But in acro, I would say failure, it's I wouldn't say it's encouraged, but it's a really rich opportunity to learn from, not only your mistakes, but your ability to communicate to those around you, right? So I'll give you an example. Um, if I'm working on a skill, and I'll just give you an example. Let's say that I want to roll somebody on my feet like a log. Okay, just picture me on my back with my feet up and someone just rolling like a log over my feet. Um,
Okay.
if I don't put my feet in the right place, that person's gonna slip and fall. And it's a short, they might fall to the ground, but there's a spotter there to catch them, right? And it's gonna be okay. But it's also an opportunity for me to ask that partner, what did you need from me that you didn't have? Or what were you feeling in that moment? Like it could be something as simple as your partner saying to you, I didn't commit to that skill because I didn't think you were there. I didn't think your foot was there. I didn't think your hands were going to be there to catch me. I mean, failure, it's not a loss as long as you're learning something about yourself, like, hey, what can I do, Chris, like in my control, what can I fix to make us as a unit, as a team successful? What can I do to change that? But also, how do I communicate what my needs are out to my teammates so they can know where I'm at, and vice versa, right? They can tell me, this is what I need from you in the moment, and then we can try again. And I was actually doing partner acro last night, and you know, we, I must have said to my partner 10 times, "What do you need from me? What am I not giving to you?" And sometimes they don't know. Hey, let's just try it again. But I think as partnerships grow, just like teams, as they grow and trust each other and become more, feel safe with each other to have dialogue, it's the same in acro, right? Somebody can say to you, well, I'm feeling this, or I need a little more of this. And when we take those barriers down, that's where the growth happens. So I'm very fortunate that my acro teammates, we've developed a lot of trust and empathy over the years. So now we can just be totally honest with each other when we're not getting what we need to be successful.
Chris, I'm hearing, and I haven't thought about it this way yet. So it's the first time for me. So thank you.
Sure.
It's that failure point is the door for someone to start communicating.
Yeah.
As you were
If we
speaking,
choose it. Yeah. Go ahead.
yes, because as you were speaking in working with engineers, and especially engineers who are moving from individual contributors into management, is this moment of I want to try to do it on my own. I try to figure it out on my own. So given
Yep.
your example of, how to hold my hands and feet to roll someone, and
Yep.
then you inevitably you're gonna fail because one, you're doing it for the first time, you're learning yourself.
Yep.
Um, so it's almost like this, it pops you out of, okay, I'm the one who needs to figure this out, to, oh wait, I failed. Great. This is the point where I reach out and, okay, how can we figure out together, what
That's right.
information can you give me so that I get better, and what can I give you? And so it's that beautiful moment when uh yeah, it's the moment of almost like waking up, like, oh yeah, I failed. Yay. Okay, now
Yeah.
I'm gonna reach
Right.
out to someone. Instead
Yeah.
of having the mindset of, oh no, now it's gonna be even harder to figure it out because I failed. So it's, instead of shutting down, to actually, that's the moment of opening up.
That's
And
right. And
that's so beautiful.
absolutely. And I'd like to add to that too. So, you know, I think up until now in this conversation, I've talked about how, my day job and those skills sort of translate into the acro world, and those the circus arts or what have you. But it's a two-way street. So the longer that I've been doing acro and learning how to communicate with lots of different people in different groups and do some things that feel scary. I mean, sometimes when somebody's standing on your shoulders and they're going to dive down into your hands, it's kind of scary, right? Like you want to keep them safe and
Yes.
you want to make sure that you stay safe. But I would say learning how to do that with the support of a strong community has actually influenced the person I am at my job, right? So now if I find myself at work and there's some kind of unique issue or challenge or interpersonal issue between teammates or other departments, I use the same skills that I use, doing acro in those situations. I talk to my teammates at work the same way that I would talk to somebody who is with me on the mat. And I have found that to be extraordinarily effective. So even though I try to keep a really high wall between my personal and professional life. This is one really, I would almost say poetic, poetic area where the two help the other one grow. So it's been a really nice discovery over the past 5 years.
You said something that caught my attention, curiosity of, that there was a community to support you.
Mhm.
So how does that translate into work? Have you then started really building a community at work so that you can have it there too, and have that support? Or was that also given and you just strengthened it? So how did it
Yeah.
play out for you?
Yeah, I would say, I what makes it challenging, I think, in 2024 is that I think the world hasn't quite come back from sort of the habits and the ways that we interact with each other following COVID. Um, you know, I don't know if you feel it or if others listening to this feel it, but it doesn't feel as though things are the same. And so I would say the same kind of community aspect that I have in sort of the circus arts acro world does feel a little bit different. Not so much. My personal team is great. Like my team at work, my manager, my directors, my teammates, they're wonderful. But I would say when you think about acro, your community is, 30, 40, 50, 60 people, sometimes more strong, right? I mean, big, big communities. And so currently, I have a network that's spread around the country and the world um, through my job that are very supportive. But the communities are a little bit different in that it's a lot of conference calls and Teams meetings, Zoom meetings, as opposed to people actually in the room with you when you do something that you didn't think you could do and getting a round of applause from 30 people in the same room. It's a very different feeling, but I think the underlying relationship between both is true. I think for us to be successful in whatever we do, whether that's how we earn a paycheck or how we find ourselves and show up in social situations, I think community is everything. So I'm very much pro community, and as much as it relates to work, if there are groups that people can join to find common interests. For a while I was a member and a leader in a disability rights advocacy group in my at my job. I'm very supportive of those types of causes. Yeah, get community where we can find it. It's a good thing.
Yes, I think that that's the message of can always go and bring people in, but you can go and find those who already gathered and add yourself to a
Yeah,
community,
that's right.
or invite yourself to it. Uh, and I love how you are. I love the energy around community though that you're talking about. So
Yeah,
thanks for bringing it up. And that visual is
sure.
gonna stay with me of 30 people applauding when you do
Yeah,
something out of your comfort zone. Like that is definitely worth, yes, finding a
yeah,
group of people, even if you, I don't know, it's, we think about, oh, a community maybe has to be on a regular basis, so forth. But even in just those occasions when you are stepping out of your comfort zones, to have
yeah,
someone who applauds you. I
yeah.
know I have an accountability partner, and every time I share something that I have done that was out of my comfort zone, I get the applause from her. So, it's
Yeah.
not 30 people, but I do get
Hey,
it from one person.
that's great.
So it's, being creative.
Yep.
But I do love that visual though. I mean, if you can, yes, have that,
Yes.
there's people who applaud you, like that is super cool.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Yep.
Uh, so what was maybe something surprising in you doing acro and then doing work, and then as you transitioned in your career, and then while pushing yourself, pushing your, well, I guess physically to your your limits
Yeah.
and your
Yeah. No, I mean,
capabilities.
it is truly the most pure definition of work-life balance. You know, it's it feeds me, it nourishes me to use my brain a certain way all day, right? Problem solving, working with very talented and very intelligent people every day. I'm very blessed in that way to have that kind of engagement in my job. But I also love to take those skills into a more creative, more physical space. And the great joy of my life now is for the past few years, I've been working with a film production team out of Seattle, Washington, and just I'm based in Chicago, but I did live in Seattle for a number of years. I'm working with a film production team on a documentary about kind of what we're talking about, right? About how acro has the ability to change people's lives and the positive impact it can have with the community. And so it's been a really great adventure, and frankly an honor to meet so many people out there doing acro who come from such different backgrounds, and how we all find some of these beautiful gifts that we've talked about today, and being able to film that and turn it into a feature length documentary. So very exciting.
Well, tell us more about the film.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. Thank you. Um, you know, we have a few different storylines. Folks who found acro later in life, people who do acro professionally, right? So they're more kind of what you think of traditional circus performers. Then we've got some people who do it more so for the community to find friendship and uh, yeah, community. And then myself, my story is because I have a disability. I don't see very well. I'm legally blind. I don't see out of my right eye, and my left eye, my vision is very limited. For me, acro was a way to have not just an exercise and a physical outlet, but a creative outlet as well. So you know, because I can't see, I did miss out on a lot growing up as a kid, and so I feel like when I do acro now and excel, right, accelerate at it, it gives me back something that I missed out on much earlier in life. So it's very rewarding for me, and to share that experience in a narrative film or to share that narrative in a film, I'm excited about it. I'm excited, and it sounds like we have a, we have interest from some groups. I can't give away too much yet, but it looks like we're headed for a national audience with millions of people. So I can't get too ahead of myself because we're waiting to have some
Sure,
things
sure.
finished up. But I'll we'll have to do another one of these podcasts once we get to that point.
Sounds good. So yeah, you shared as much as you can, and I
Yeah.
you got me interested. So
Right.
um you said something that allowed me to double click that you found something that was missing as you were growing up. Do you can you can you share, or do
Sure.
we need to watch the movie?
Yeah, well, yeah, no, how about we'll do both? I'll just go ahead and give your listeners, if you go to www.acro, and that's ACRO, documentary, DOCUMENTARY.com. So I'm gonna say that one more time. It's www.acrodocumentary.com. The name of the film is Touching the Sky. And you can see our trailer there.
Wow.
You can learn more about the film. We have bios of the whole film team, so you'll see me up there, and my director Tim, and are just our great team. And it does take a team. I want to really stress that we would not be where we are today if it weren't for our amazing team, hardworking team.
But
But oh, go ahead.
well, tell me about what did you find personally, because you said that you found
Yeah,
something that you were missing. Can you share
yeah,
with
no,
us?
absolutely. I would say when you have a disability, as especially as a kid, um, you know, it's hard to, I would say this, like every kid wants to fit in, right? We were all there. All of us were there at one point, right? Every
Yep.
kid wants to fit in. And
Yep.
I couldn't really. I didn't have a choice. Like I just didn't fit in ever. Sometimes I still feel like I don't. But I missed out on feeling connected to groups, to teams, to I was not a cool kid. That's all I can say. I wasn't a popular kid. I wasn't a cool kid.
Hmm.
And so I think when I discovered Acro later in life, it gave me a sense of value that I didn't have about myself. Um, Truly, I mean, to know that I was keeping someone safe and I was an essential part of a machine, right? Like I was a really important part of a machine that was critical to the success of a unit. I cannot remember ever feeling that way. And so that was probably the biggest um, thing about Acro that gave me a new sense, a new lease on life. I mean, truly. And then the fact that I didn't have much recreational options because of my lack of eyesight, it also helped that as well. And so um, yeah, it just it changed everything for me. And I think why we want to make the film is we've got these four beautiful stories, and everyone's is different, right? Everyone's doing it a little bit differently. They're pursuing different goals, but I think we all agree on that this really counterculture, unknown sort of obscure practice, right? Acro has given us all so much, and I think we all want to share that with the world. And so, again, we're just so excited that it looks like, knock on wood, right? It looks like we're going to be able to share it with millions and millions of people. So I couldn't be happier about making that contribution to a wider discussion about how people can find play and find a sense of joy and work life balance. And so I'm thrilled. And again, I just want to say I have the best team. I have the best team, and I'm so proud of my team every day. They're amazing. They show up. Our film team, they're just incredible. They're creative. They come from all walks of life. They're all across the country, and it's going to be a success that we all share together. So just want to say that.
Well, kudos to you and the team, and uh, I love that feeling that you shared, that we all at some point in our life want to be um, the trusted friend
Yeah,
of someone, even if it's just one person. I mean, it
yep,
starts with one,
that's
and
right.
feel that really strong connection, and that we are needed and valued.
Yep.
So it's almost like what I'm hearing is that if you haven't felt it that way, you inspired us to go and find it, no matter where we are in our lives.
Exactly. And that's something that I think we try to get across in the film is that it's not, acro isn't for everybody. Like
Yes, it's about acro, but it's really not about acro,
exactly,
right?
right. Like there are people who I know, old friends of mine I've known for 20 years, and they say, I don't want anyone touching my feet. Like I mean, there are people out there that it's not them, but for them it's a softball league after work. It's a kickball league, it's a sewing circle, it's a book club. It doesn't have to be tossing someone in the air. I think it's just about finding people with common interest and finding joy and a sense of play. And the world is heavy, right? This is a heavy, heavy world we live in. Things happen all the time.
Yes.
It's tough. And so I
Yes.
think we all need an outlet. We all need a place to go. We all need something to do to look forward to, right? And so I think that's the message of the film is that, you know, let's all find that thing, whatever it is. And for me, it happens to be acro. And hopefully if we do it right, we'll convince some other people to go find something to that will give their lives more joy and meaning. So that's kind of the big goal, I guess.
Yes, and I love that message. That's why I wanted to sit down with you. I wanted to be part of sharing that message,
Thank
because
you.
I'm a big believer in that too. Is as you talk about outlet, and then my visual comes in as of in outlet, we plug in an energy source and we draw energy from, and we make a connection. We plug in ourselves somewhere and add value,
Yep.
and all these kind of engineering thoughts that show up
Right.
in my mind.
Yeah.
But eventually we draw on each other to shine,
That's right.
and finding that place where
Yep.
you draw energy from to shine, and then collectively to shine. I mean, that's a
Hmm.
beautiful message, and I wanted to amplify that today.
Thank you. Thank
Thank,
you.
thank you.
Yeah. I mean, I would just say, I mean, I would just kind of add this too. I mean, we're so much more than who we are at work, right? I mean, we spend so much time at work, and it's important, right? Like skills and teams and learning new things and all that. I mean, it is important. But it just as important is how we show up in the world when we're not at work, to give a sense of balance. And so, yeah, again, I would just say, grateful and love those engineers. I mean, they helped me get to this point and the way I think about things and the way I look at the world. So I know this is an engineering podcast, so I want to come back and thank the engineers.
I love that. I love that because I you don't hear that often.
Mhm.
The engineers are thanked. They're almost like working in the shadow, and only we only want to talk about them when something breaks, when something's not working, and then we
Right.
question, okay, who created this? Who can I blame, and who can I
Yeah.
talk to? So I love that you flipped that around and brought them into the light as of no, no, they do some amazing things
And I
in
would
that
like to
area.
one more thing. The engineers in Acro, by the way, are incredible because they really know how to diagnose a problem. So there's a lot of engineers in Acro, and they're great.
Oh, wow. Okay. That was my next
Yeah.
question, as of I'm sure there are. And okay, so you know them. Great.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, maybe we'll bring one on this podcast, and then that's gonna be super interesting too.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, so Chris, as we're getting to the end of our discussion, what would you like to close us out with?
Um, I guess just some gratitude, Andrea, I appreciate that you set this up, and invited me on. I think any chance to speak about, what we do, both professionally and personally is a great opportunity just for awareness. I'm grateful that I could talk about my experience and my journey up till now that made all this possible. And so thank you for that. And again, yeah, I would just encourage folks to come and join us, on the journey. www.acrodocumentary.com. You can, join our newsletter, see what's happening. We're still filming for the rest of this year. But we're going to be moving on to post production early next year, and we're looking at organizations. If you're listening to this podcast and you think that there's a really cool organization that we should be talking to or learning more about or reaching out to, please, please, please let me know. We're a grassroots movement. This whole film has really been a grassroots effort that's starting to bear a lot of fruit. So come and join us, be a part of the movement, join our email list, and see how you can get involved. And so, yeah, thanks again for having me today.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And I want to leave with, based on what you shared with us, doing the things that we do outside of work can really influence our state of mind, our abilities, our capabilities, our teaming, and our state of mind when we go to work. So, own what you do outside of work, share it, like you, Chris, tell people, be proud of it, because I am pretty sure you're bringing something back where you are a better leader, a better engineer, a better worker, individual contributor uh, at work, and let people see it so that you can inspire others along the way too. Well, on that note, Chris, thank you very much for being here today,
Thank
for
you.
sharing a lot with us, and we'll put all that info in the notes so folks can click and go and find and connect with you if they choose to.
Awesome.
So thank you
Thank you so
again.
much. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you.